Our case study takes place in Rio de Janeiro, a larger city in the southern part of Brazil. There are approximately 7 million people in this city. It is a coastal city, so it's got a nice mix of beaches as well as mountains. It's very populated with people from all over Brazil, so you find many different people groups there, not only Brazilians, but people from all over the world. So it's a port city, so they've got a lot of people coming in from different places. It was also the place that hosted the Olympics and the World Cup, so they're very familiar with travelers, which creates just a lot of different influences within this city. So in Rio, we find quite a few evangelical Christians, but also just many influences from other places that just deeply influence their faith and also the way they live out their life.
Carnival is a big party today in Brazil, but 500 years ago from Portugal, just the king participated in this party using masks. But now you can see around the Brazil, every city doing this on the street, on clubs, gymnasium, stadium, and now in Rio, you can see around 1 million people together in the same street in Copacabana area, close the beach, and people from different places. It's amazing, an amazing party. You can see several people dancing, drinking, and the church. They are there. We have Christians, and they are thinking, how can we reach these people? Carnival in the beginning, the the purpose is just to be fun and just to promote some moments for people enjoy that day. And you can forget, for example, about you. You can use female dresses, you can use male dresses, you can go to the street and talking with everybody. And now you can do something more. You can drink alcohol for a lot. You can during Carnival today in Brazil, people from several cities, Brazilians, they are going to Rio to spend in 1 week, average on 1 week in Rio. And you can see people on street, people on the hotels, around 800% of the hotels is totally full. You don't have more spot. You need to make your appointment, your order before you go to Brazil or to Rio because it's really famous this party. But we have people on the street drinking alcohol a lot, dancing with clothes and without clothes. We have this weird situation. We have people, believers, going there, maybe to finding some fun moments in their lives. We have people broken. We have people in spending much time, much money in this party, finding something nice to do. And we have a situation now. Some cities they have dozens and dozens of people, and you can see drugs, you can see alcohol, you can see violence, you can see many things, and the church are there. The church can do something, and we are thinking now what we can do as a missionaries, being in our church, in our temple, going to the street, going to the camp, talking with these guys on the street, dancing with them, drinking with them, or no. And now we'd like to talk more about what kind of situation, what kind of options do we can do during this huge, amazing party in Rio.
Yeah, so we find ourselves at the church, and there's three different missionaries that are kind of come together, and the carnival is weeks away, and we've got to figure out what makes the most sense. There's pressure from the church to do something or to do something that either removes or that engages, or finding a good mix between that. And so the missionaries have come together, and there's three major viewpoints and trying to figure out what that looks like and the best way to incarnate the gospel in this culture and the best way to interact with what is one of the biggest parties and festivals that goes on in Rio. So we've got three missionaries stepping in together in this conversation, and all of which are coming at it from a different angle, from things that they've heard from locals that have happened in the past, things that they want to do as engagement, and then trying to find different balances. So we've got each of us has a different viewpoint, and Victor's going to be the one that starts out his discussion.
As we have around 1 million people just on Copacabana, the nice part of the city, but several people, thousands of people around our neighborhood. We are thinking to do something not on the street. We are thinking to do something more appropriate for our context. I am a new missionary here in Rio, and I'd like to take the youth, the kids, our elderly, and go to the camp, because on camp I can talk about the gospel. I can talk clearly about Carnival too, and why that these people, why those people, they are finding happiness on this festival. And I'd like to share about the gospel first, prepare them to the next year. Maybe you can go to the street, you can go to the stadium, but now I'd like to spend maybe 3 or 4 times for 4 days with my church and prepare them and having fun too. We can do something on the lake, we can do some on the pool, playing soccer, playing basketball, having fun with families, cooking together and eating together. But I don't want to see like my new believers going to the street and maybe they can fail. Maybe they can remember their past. Maybe they can just go in there and stop there and don't come to our church or come to home, but they can do this, go back to the scene, and I think it will be a worse scenario. So I prefer to go to the camp, prepare a nice, a fancy and biblical camp, and for 4 days spend time with my sheeps.
See, I don't know that going to camp is the best option. I think that we need to be at least around the city. I think obviously there's the violence in the streets and things that can get out of hand, and we don't want the new believers stepping into their old lives and things that they're supposed to have turned away from. But I think we don't want to remove ourselves from the city either. We're here to be light in a dark place. And so I think while we can't go out in the streets, I think we would be best to bring the people into the church. I think it would be best to have our own time of having fun in the church, but also being able to be there to worship and to pray over the city. While we can do that at the camp, I think there's just a different feel to be around it, to be able to still hear what's going on and to also be a place of refuge for those that are in the streets, that maybe this is a time where God is able to push them to come find the church and to come be able to find our door and be able to be there to open it and to allow them to come in. But we as believers, I think, with it being a young church, maybe we find a way to share a way that they can do things a little differently and just have their own celebration that is geared towards the Lord and geared towards worshiping God rather than worshiping their flesh or their human aspects, but they could worship the Spirit and worship through being together, being gathered as believers, and having a special time of prayer and even fasting over what's going on in the streets around them and just being able to be available and be present. I think being at camp could be removing us too far from the people we're trying to reach.
I think those are both interesting options. I don't know if I would want to go away to camp. I don't know if I would want to host a carnival party at the church. I think we came here, to evangelize. Way to do that is to go out to the people in the streets. And I think, we've been here for a while training some of these believers on how to share the gospel and how to share their story with people. So we might as well take them to the brokenness and take them to the people that need Jesus the most, and just be light in the darkness of the streets during Carnival. And I think that would be a really great outreach opportunity. And, we could see, people come to Christ and the numbers in the church grow. And that's the best way to use our time during this season. So the three missionaries were unable to come to a conclusion. They couldn't figure out which idea was best. So they have taken their ideas to the Studies and Contextualization Theories class at that Southeastern to help them figure out the best way to reach people in Brazil.